For my next project, I'm going to be working on an American crow. I've already drawn up the pattern for it. This one's going to be half size. And he's going to be standing on a dried up old stalk of corn. And the overall design of the piece is going to be like that. So here's the block of wood that I'll be cutting the crow out of. I just got to square up a block out of this bigger block, and then I can get cutting it out. This is tupelo wood, by the way. I get this from Louisiana or North Carolina. I think this piece is probably from North Carolina. Now just transferring the pattern onto my block of wood. Got pinned on there along the center line of the wood piece. And a quick trace of the side view as well. There, and I got it all cut out. Got the bird, the crow, what will eventually be the corn stalk. So that's where my head's going to be located, within that block of wood here. It's going to be turned off center. I'll be using various tools through the carving and painting of this crow. If you're interested, there'll be some links in the description below to be able to purchase some of those tools. Using my Fordham power grinder and some saber-tooth burrs, I can get the carving started. These saber-tooth burrs really cut the wood well. They come in various colors to indicate the different types of coarseness. The goal at this point is to round off all the edges and shape the major feather groupings and still have my fingers left over at the end. Now I've switched over to a brushless micro motor for some of the finer carving. It rotates up around 50,000 RPMs and kind of sounds like you're at the dentist. I'm happy with the overall general form that I've created, so now it's time to get into the finer details. Once I draw on the feathers, I use various carving burrs to give them shape, and I'll add some splits as well as I go. I'm looking for realism, so every little detail counts. With the feather shaping complete, now I use my razor tip burning pen and burn in the individual feather lines. I always find this stage relaxing. It's quiet work, and it starts to bring the bird to life. I will be carving the cornstalk from tupelo as well, and since the crow is half size, it only makes sense that the cornstalk will be too.
keep looking back at the real piece of corn just to see what details I need to add. Now on to making the feet. I'll be using brass rods that I solder together with silver solder. First I measure out the length of the legs and add the bends at all the joints. Then I move on to doing the same with the toes. With the toes shaved up, I test fit on the corn stalk. Then I can begin soldering them together. Using some silver solder and flux, I put the toes together. It can be tedious work getting the angle just right and having everything hold in place. With the feet put together, now I use a diamond bit and grind the talons, before mixing up a 2-part epoxy putty to build up the legs and feet. Once the putty is set, I grind them the shapes that I want on the toes and legs. Now I can finish up the head with a little burning texture. And then I can set in the glass eyes into some epoxy putty. I press them into the proper depth and then I can build up the eye ring. On the corn stalk, I want a leaf there as well. It's too thin to carve from wood, so I'll make it out of a sheet of brass. With the leaf details all creased and cut into the surface, I can glue this into the stalk. With the carving all complete, I can begin the painting. First I'll prime the crow with some gesso. I apply my acrylic paints with an Iwata airbrush. First I'll go over it with the black paint, but a crow has a lot of blue and green iridescence that I'll also apply over top. There he is with the base coat of black. Not a solid black. The bird has a lot of colors on it, so I'm leaving some areas kind of lighter, brighter. I'll put the iridescence in and get that sheen of color coming through. He's looking more like a crow now. And I'm adding in some blue highlights. They're rather random. And now the green iridescent highlights to finish off the colors. With the airbrushing done, now I go back and do some of the detail work, like finishing off the beak, giving it a coat of varnish, accenting some of the feather splits, and any other little details that I see need to be done. For the cornstalk, I'm thinking of a golden brown color like you see in the fall. I apply various color layers with the airbrush, some gold, some brown, some shadow colors. And then I go back over again with a small brush to pick out the details, and even an old toothbrush to splatter on some speckles. Now I have to put all these components together. Crow, cornstalk, and the feet. I use various blocks of wood to hold the bird in position while the epoxy glue sets up. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and don't forget to check out some of the tools I use in the description below.